What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a 99 Toyota 4Runner. I'll be doing a timing belt on this. It does have the 3.4 and we got the whole kit. The customer bought it actually. The only thing it didn't have in it was the actual tensioner, which was odd to me, but we got it coming. But it does have the water pump. Got the gaskets down in there. So there's the water pump gasket for it too. Timing belt with like cam seals and front main seal. There's one idler, and then this is the idler for the tensioner. We're also going to be doing a heater control valve and a thermostat on this, just because we are draining the system and he does have a coolant leak at his heater control valve. Let me go ahead and show y'all part numbers. That's your heater control valve number. It is 87240-35070 Toyota parts. There's your tensioner idler, the GMB part 4709450. Timing belt, just like that right there. I guess EB 1271 or 191 MY36. Guess your gasket kit is CSS 257. This doesn't have one. The water pump is an Asian water pump. WPT 100. So where's my thermostat at? Right here. 90916-03075. And he got Toyota coolant right there. Long life antifreeze. Doesn't have a part number on here, I don't believe. Well, there's a little one. 00272-1 LLAC. We got 2 gallons of that. But to do this job calls for about 3.5-4 hours. Not really a horrible job, but I'm not getting paid for it. So what I am getting is I own a Mini Cooper. I'm getting a full air ride kit in exchange. Here's all my electrical stuff. Here's this. Brand new, never used. He bought it for his. He has an R56. Mine is an R50. But you can make that swap happen. All you have to do is just use R56 rear trailing arms. And they make a kit for that actually for about $400. You can get the brand new trailing arms with all the bushings and everything. But it's for a different video. We'll do that video whenever, probably in the next few months, because I'm going to be putting that air ride system on the Mini. And we'll see how we like it. But this video entails doing a timing belt. Last time it said it was done was at 115,000. I know that's wrong, because this thing has, well, upwards of almost 300, 250, something like that. So we know that's wrong. So we're gonna go ahead and gather some tools, get everything together, and then I'll bring y'all back in and we'll dive right into this. Went ahead and started draining the coolant. There is a valve on the bottom of the radiator, about right in the middle. And I did take this cover right here off. There's 5, looks like 12mm bolts. Just remember, they do have these little hooks right here on the front, and then one of them on the back cover hooks into there. And I just took one bolt out of the back cover, then loosened the other one and swung it to the side. They are 12mm as well. Another thing to remember, whenever you're draining it, take your radiator cap off, just because that does allow pressure to go inside and push it out. So it rained pretty good yesterday, so I gotta have some blankets and stuff to put down to keep the water off of my back. But it's supposed to clear up today and be nice and warm actually, in the 70s, and tomorrow's supposed to be in the 80s, like mid 80s, so it's gonna be a really nice day. But I'm not gonna be able to get out here and do anything tomorrow. But like I said, that's just jibber jabber. I'm gonna take this hose right here off, just 2 squeeze clamps, and then I'm gonna break the fan loose right there. There's gonna be 4 10 millimeters. If you leave the belt on first, you should be able to break those off fairly easy, just to get the fan loose. And then actually we can go ahead and take this overflow hose off, and then we can take the upper portion of the fan shroud out. There's going to be 4 10 millimeter bolts that hold the entire fan on, 2 on the top and 2 about, you know, 3/4 of the way down. I don't know how well y'all can see this, but there is one right there. I know it's kind of dark. Then once we get that out, I'll bring y'all back and show you what else we got to take off. You can see that I got the fan and the fan shroud out now. I typically take them out as one unit. Like, I'll take the fan off and then I will take the fan shroud out. So like I said, there's 4 bolts that holds the fan shroud in, and then 4 bolts that holds the fan in. Also, I made a mistake. The fan bolts are actually 12s. I forgot that they are 12s. Now that it is off, you can pretty much just pull this pulley off like that. And then you can take your belt off. And I'm going to do the same thing with this metal belt. A lot of times you can just take them off without actually moving the tensioners on them, because they don't have that much tension on them most of the time. And we can take that belt off. And normally the only tensioner that I really take off or loosen up is this AC compressor tensioner. And the way we're going to do that is you'll loosen this main bolt on the front, and then you should have another bolt that controls the slide on the bottom. It kind of faces up this way. So we're going to loosen that up. I'm thinking that is like a 14. Yeah. Also, my fan bolts were extremely tight on this thing. Thought I was going to strip one of them out. It was so tight. And looks like we're about finished with our drain. So I'm just going to close that up real quick. So we got the belt off, and we took the alternator belt, set it up on the brake booster right there. Then we have the AC belt on underneath the truck, and I put the power steering belt right there with the fan and everything. Next step is these right here are already pretty much loose. That one's broke and that one's pretty much broke, and there should be a connector that sits in there, but that was already out. And then this connector right here, you can just get a trim tool and pull it, and it just sticks in the cover. And then once we get those off, we'll take this cover right here off on the top, and we'll start taking the actual harmonic balancer off. But I'm going to use that to set the cams at top dead center and hope we get the lower one, you know, in the right place. But there's just 1 2 3 4 10 millimeters on this cover, and then this top cover can come off. So there's actually 6 bolts that hold this cover on. 2 of them were missing, that's why I didn't see them anyway. They're down here on the bottoms and underneath there. So we found out where the water leak is coming from. He does have a coolant leak down in there. I don't know how well y'all can see that. We'll see it better whenever we get all the covers and everything off. But the crank bolt is a 19. Make sure I got it in the right position. And there we go. Come on, don't drop it. Jinxed myself. There's your crank bolt. And most of the time, these should pull right off. You might have to tap on it just a hair, but most of the time they pull right off. I'll see if I can show me pulling this off. Let's see if we can do this. I may have to get underneath there to do it. I'm not blocking your view. Okay, so it's too stuck for me to get it off by hand, so I got this puller right here on there, and funny thing is, if I thread it by hand, she will come out. It was just enough to where it wouldn't come off, so we'll see if that is enough right there. I'll put a link up to this puller. It is one of my favorite pullers. Yeah, she'll come out now. Alright, there we go. I did put a little bit of penetrant up inside there just so we could get it off a little bit easier. Like I said, I will put a link up to that puller right there because I do love that one. That's the one I use for the LS harmonic balancers too. Pulls them right off, no issues. So we will put a link up for that for everybody. Alright, now we got that off. I'm actually going to keep the crank bolt up here because I may have to rotate it again. And now what we're going to do is actually pull the lower cover off. There should be a couple 10 millimeters that hold it on. 1, 2, just caked in dirt. 3, 4. Should be about 4 of them. So we're going to take that off. I'm probably going to actually go ahead and take this bracket right here off for the power steering pump, because we do have to take this cover right here off, or this idler. Just checking it, make sure there's no play in it. She looks good. So we will have to take this off. I'm going to take this bolt, go ahead and take this bolt and that bolt out, and we should come out after we take the cover off. So once I get the cover and the idler off, I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, we got the cover off and we got the idler pulled off of there too. So I'm going to show you all that. Here's the bottom cover. Like I said, it's 4 bolts, 2 on the one on the top left, one kind of on the top right, a little bit further down, one on the very bottom, and one on the left is a little further up. But that's it. And then your idler right here only has 3 bolts. It sits like this in there. You got that regular bolt on the top, and you should have 2 nuts, but the bolt come out with this one right there, which isn't a big deal. It happens sometimes. So if you want to get a new one of those, you can, just depending on how bad your bearing is in here. But this one feels good, and there's no play in it or any of that stuff. And also, we got lucky with the timing. It is lined up. Your timing marks are right here. There's a little notch on the cover. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on it so you can see it a little better. And then right here on the top, there's this little V notch on each one of the covers. If you line those marks right there up, and I don't know how well y'all are going to be able to see this, but there should be a dot right there, and then right above it on the back of the engine part of it, there should be like a little V notch. Well, not really a notch, but like a little arrow pointing down, and you want that to line up with that tooth. And that shows that you are at your top dead center and everything is good to go. So next step we're going to do is we're actually going to remove this tensioner right here, which it is caked in grease. There's a bolt right here that's easy to get to, and then the one on the back is not so easy to get to. You're supposed to take the actual AC compressor off, but there are a few different videos and stuff showing that you can get to it without actually taking it off. Where we're going to do this, we're going to take these 2 10 millimeters right here out, which that one should be loose. We're going to take this 10 millimeter right here off, move the wiring harness a little bit, and then you should be able to snake behind the compressor in between that and the engine and get the other one. It is a 12 millimeter, so what I'm going to actually do is use a 1/4 inch 12 millimeter, and when we do it this way, it'll give you a little bit more clearance, just because it is a little bit of a more shallow socket and the extensions are a lot thinner. And then I'm going to use it on a not half inch, but a 3/8 ratchet. So I'm going to use a 3/8 to a 1/4 inch adapter, and you should break it loose pretty easy. These bolts only torque to 32 foot-pounds. Each one of the idlers torque to 30 foot-pounds. And then your water pump bolts, they torque to 25 foot-pounds. So none of this stuff is really tight, but we are going to have to take the thermostat housing off of this, and there should be a hose that runs to the back side of the water pump, if I remember correctly. Yeah, right here. And that should just be a little squeeze clamp, but you can get to it once you remove the thermostat housing. But we're going to remove the tensioner first. I'm going to go ahead and pull this bolt off, and whenever I get ready to take the other one off on the back, I'll show y'all how I do it. So this is what I'm using. That right there is a 6.12 millimeter. My front one was extremely tight. I don't know why it was so tight. It shouldn't have been that tight. And then we have a 3/8 to 1/4 inch adapter. Now let's try to show y'all where it goes. So you see that little corner piece right there where the opening is? Go in between there. Just make sure you don't get anything in your eyes. I just did it a minute ago, making sure I could get up in here, and you can barely see the bolt. I know y'all can't see it, but all right, I'm on it right there. Now I'm going to use my 3/8 ratchet, and we're going to break it loose. We got the tensioner off. As you can see, it's loose right there, but I had to take the AC compressor off and the bracket. Now the hardest bolt, in my opinion, to get to was the upper back bolt, closest to the back of the car, just because of the AC line, the way it runs. You have to get in between it, and I had to use a semi-deep socket to get in there. Also, the reason I had to do that is because, I don't know if y'all can see that right there, I had to cut the head of the bolt off. Once I cut it off, it threaded right out. Somebody stripped the head of the bolt off really bad. Like, I couldn't even get a little easy out socket on the top of it. I mean, it was just so rounded out. So I ended up cutting it off. And the front one was so tight too. I mean, somebody had over torqued it. These things only torque to like 25 foot-pounds. And here's your bracket. I had to take it off. So took the tensioner off right here. Here's one bolt that holds it in on the front, and then you'll have 4 on the back. The last one right here is up on the firewall. But these right here are 14s. You can see right there and right there. And once you take those off, these are extremely tight. These right here torque to about 55. I went ahead and looked up everything for everybody just so I could have it down for y'all. But yeah, these right here were extremely tight, and it's a little tight to get in there with a ratchet as well. But we have it off, and now what we can do is go ahead and start trying to take the belt off. Actually, I'm going to take the center idler off right there, which I believe is a 14. Let me grab my long ratchet. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take this off. This right here was super tight too. I swear I don't think anybody torqued anything on this. They just hammered it down as tight as they could. That's your bolt. Trying to keep all my bolts separate. And the funny thing is, this tensioner pulley right there is super loose, and you got to use an Allen to get the actual tensioner off. I'm just taking the pulley off just so I can see a little bit better. You don't have to take this pulley off. I just do it because I want to. I'll show you which one I'm doing. Sorry, I didn't know I had y'all pointed the wrong way. But we could actually probably take the belt off now. Come on. And as you can see, it's getting some wear in it. So it's a good thing that we got that. But everything pretty much stays where it is. It doesn't really pop or click or any of that stuff. Because they have it set up where these right here don't really move too much from their top dead center marks. But I'm gonna go ahead and take the water pump off. It's just, we're gonna take the thermostat housing off, then you got a hose back here, and then you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts to hold that on. And they are 12 millimeters. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these off, and whenever I get to the part where I'm pulling the water pump off, I'll bring y'all back so you can see where the hose is.